Good morning. I want to remind you today that nothing can stop you from becoming everything you were created to be. Not the obstacles in your way, not the setbacks, not even the mistakes you've made. The very fact that you're here means God has a plan for you, and He is not finished with you yet. You may be facing challenge right now. The enemy may be whispering, "It's over. You'll never get out of this. You'll never accomplish your dreams." But let me tell you, the enemy wouldn't be fighting you hard if there wasn't something incredible in your future. That trouble is a sign that something great is coming your way. We've all been through seasons where it feels like everything is against us. People walk away, opportunities dry up, doors close. But hear me today. What God has for you, no person, no sickness, no disappointment can take away. The closed door wasn't to stop you, it was to redirect you. The setback wasn't to defeat you, it was to launch you into something bigger. Scripture says, no weapon formed against you will prosper. It doesn't say the weapons won't form, it says they won't succeed. People may try to block you, but they can't override God's favor. You may feel outnumbered, but one touch of God's favor can shift everything in an instant. That's why you have to keep speaking victory over your life. Don't talk about how big your problems are. Talk about how big your God is. Instead of saying, "I'll never break free," start declaring, "I am strong, I am victorious, I am blessed." I want to challenge you today. Keep pressing forward. Don't settle in the struggle. Don't accept defeat. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is living inside of you. If He conquered death, don't you think He can handle your situation? So get ready. New doors are about to open. Favor is about to find you. What's been trying to stop you is about to break. Walk in faith, knowing that nothing, no challenge, no mistake, no opposition can stop the destiny God has placed inside of you. God bless you. You are destined for greatness. That's not just a hopeful statement, it's the truth. Before you were even born, God put something inside of you that no obstacle, no challenge, and no setback can take away. There is a purpose on your life, a calling, a divine assignment that was spoken over you before you took your first breath. Too often we let circumstances convince us otherwise. We look at where we are, the mistakes we've made, or the struggles we're facing, and we start to believe the lie that we're not good enough, that we've missed our chance, or that life is just too hard. But let me remind you today, God does not make mistakes. He did not bring you this far to leave you. He did not place a dream in your heart just to watch it die. The very fact that you're still here, still standing, still pushing forward is proof that greatness is inside of you. It's easy to think that greatness belongs to somebody else. The ones who grew up in the right families, the ones who always seem to have favor, the ones who never struggle. But greatness isn't about how you start, it's about how you finish. Some of the most successful, powerful, history-making people started out in the most unlikely places. They faced rejection, failure, in seasons where nothing made sense. But they didn't give up. They didn't let the difficulty define them. They understood that where they were was not where they were meant to stay. You may be in a tough season right now. Maybe things haven't gone the way you expected. You had big dreams, but life threw some unexpected challenges your way. People walked out, the business didn't take off, the relationship didn't work out. It's easy to look at all that and think, maybe I'm not meant for more. Maybe this is just my reality. But that's not your story. This is just a chapter, not the whole book. Your past does not define your future. The Scripture says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. That means before anyone else had an opinion about you, God had already called you chosen, anointed, and destined for greatness. No mistake can change that. No setback can cancel that. When God puts something inside of you, it is permanent. People can't take it, circumstances can't steal it, and even your own doubts can't erase it. Now, the enemy would love for you to believe that you're stuck. He'd love for you to settle where you are, to give up on your dreams, to accept a life that is far beneath what God planned for you. That's why he sends discouragement. That's why he tries to get you to focus on the problem instead of the promise. But when you recognize that you are destined for greatness, you stop listening to the lies. You start standing in confidence, knowing that what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. Think about David in the Bible. He was just a shepherd boy, overlooked, underestimated, and left in the fields while his brothers were chosen first. But God had already destined him for greatness. He wasn't looking at David's size, his background, or what others thought about him. He was looking at the purpose inside of him. And when the time was right, David stepped into his destiny. He defeated Goliath, became king, and walked in the promise that had been his all along. That's how God works. You may not see it right now, but you have a Goliath-sized victory in your future. There are battles you're going to win, mountains you're going to move, and doors that are going to open in your favor. The key is to keep going. Don't let the current struggle convince you that you've reached your limit. You haven't even scratched the surface of what God is about to do in your life. When you wake up each morning, remind yourself, I am destined for greatness. I am chosen. I am favored. No weapon formed against me will prosper. No setback will keep me from my purpose. When you start speaking that over your life, things begin to shift. So I want to challenge you today. Don't shrink back. Don't give up. Don't let the weight of the moment make you forget the power of your destiny. You weren't created to live small, defeated, or discouraged. You were created to rise higher, to overcome, and to step into everything God has for you. What God has placed inside of you is too big to stay hidden. The dreams, the talents, the purpose, it's all in you for a reason. It's time to shake off the doubt, silence the negative voices, and start walking in the confidence of who you were always meant to be. Because no matter what it looks like right now, no matter what's come against you, one thing is for sure, you are destined for greatness and nothing can stop you. Guess that. Are setups for comeback. Life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges at us. You make plans, you step out in faith, you give it your best effort, then suddenly things don't go as expected. The door closes, the opportunity falls through, or the relationship doesn't work out. It's easy to get discouraged and think, maybe this just isn't meant to be. Maybe I'll never see my dreams come to pass. But let me remind you today, setbacks are not the end of your story. They are setups for a greater comeback. What looks like a loss is often a repositioning. What seems like a failure is actually preparation. Just because something didn't work out the way you planned doesn't mean God isn't working behind the scenes to take you somewhere better. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream that he would be a great leader, that people would bow before him. But instead of rising to success immediately, his life took a drastic turn. His own brothers betrayed him, threw him into a pit, and sold him into slavery. If that wasn't enough, when he finally started making progress in Egypt, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Everything in his life seemed to scream, it's over, you've lost. You'll never see that dream come to pass. But Joseph didn't give up. He didn't let the setbacks define him. He stayed faithful, kept his heart right, and continued to trust God. And what happened? One day, in a single moment, he was pulled out of the prison and promoted to second in command over all of Egypt. What looked like a series of devastating setbacks, that's the kind of God we serve. He doesn't waste our pain. He doesn't allow delays just to frustrate us. Every disappointment, every detour, every delay is part of His divine plan. You may not see it now, but if you stay in faith, you'll look back one day and realize that what you thought was working against you was actually working for you. Maybe you had a dream that seemed so close and then everything fell apart. Maybe you started the business and it didn't take off the way you thought. Maybe you believed for a relationship, but it didn't last. It's easy to think, I must have missed it. I must not be good enough. But can I tell you, the delay is not a denial. The setback is not the final chapter. God sees the bigger picture. What you thought was rejection was actually His redirection. What you thought was a failure was Him setting you up for something better. Don't let a temporary setback make you give up on a permanent promise. When you go through disappointments, when you face difficulties, you have a choice. You can either get bitter, discouraged, and give up, or you can say, God, I don't understand this, but I trust you. I know you're working all things together for my good. When you take that attitude, you position yourself for a comeback. I've seen it happen time and time again. People who were written off, people who were overlooked, people who faced unbelievable obstacles. Yet, because they refused to quit, they ended up rising higher than anyone ever expected. That's the power of a comeback. So don't let that setback fool you. It's not the end. It's just a setup. The closed door, the disappointment, the challenge, it's all leading you to something greater. God is about to launch you to a new level. Doors are going to open that you never expected. What was meant for your harm, He's turning for your good. Stay in faith. Keep believing. Your comeback is on the way. God's power is greater than opposition. No matter what comes against you in life, no matter how big the obstacles seem, no matter how impossible the situation looks, God's power is greater. The forces that are for you are stronger than the forces that are against you. You may feel like you're outnumbered. The medical report doesn't look good. The financial situation seems impossible. The opposition at work is intense. But let me remind you, you and God are a majority. It doesn't matter how big the problem is when you serve an even bigger God. We all face moments where it feels like everything is stacked against us. The enemy whispers, you'll never get out of this. This problem is too big. You don't have the strength, the resources, the connections. But the enemy is a liar. He wants you to focus on the problem instead of the power of your God. I think about the story of Elisha in the Bible. One day, he and his servant woke up to find an entire army surrounding their city, ready to attack. The servant panicked and said, Elisha, what are we going to do? But Elisha didn't even flinch. He looked at him and said, don't be afraid. There are more for us than against us. Then he prayed, Lord, open his eyes. And suddenly the servant saw what Elisha had already seen. The hills were filled with horses and chariots of fire. Angelic armies surrounding them, ready to fight on their behalf. What's the lesson? The enemy may come against you, but God has already surrounded what's surrounding you. The opposition is nothing compared to the power working in your favor. The sickness is no match for the healer. The financial struggle is no match for the provider. The betrayal is no match for the restorer. The scripture says, no weapon formed against you will prosper. It doesn't say weapons won't form. It says they won't succeed. That means the attack may come, but it won't take you out. The difficulty may arise, but it won't stop your destiny. Think about Moses standing at the Red Sea. Behind him, Pharaoh's army was closing in. In front of him, an impossible body of water. It looked like he was trapped, like there was no way out. But Moses knew something. God's power is greater than the opposition. He lifted his staff, and God parted the waters, making a way where there was no way. That's what God is about to do in your life. It may look impossible, but God is making a way. It may seem like the enemy has the upper hand, but victory is coming. The battle is not yours. It's the Lord's. What are you up against today? What's trying to stop you? Instead of looking at how big the problem is, start looking at how big your God is. Instead of saying, I'll never get through this, declare, God, I know you are fighting for me. I know you are greater than this opposition. I trust you. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is living inside of you. If He conquered death, don't you think He can handle your situation? Don't let fear, doubt, or discouragement convince you that you're defeated. You are victorious. You are an overcomer. You are walking in the power of the Most High God. So stand strong, keep believing, keep trusting. The opposition may come, but it will not succeed. The storm may rise, but it will not take you under. Because the God who is for you is greater than anything that could ever come against you. Speak victory, not defeat. Your words have power. What you speak over your life is shaping your future. You can either speak faith, strength, and victory, or you can speak defeat, failure, and doubt. The words you say are not just empty sounds, they are seeds. When you speak something, you are planting it into your life. If you keep saying, I'll never get ahead, I'll never meet the right person, I'll never accomplish my dreams, you are sowing seeds of defeat. But when you declare, I am strong, I am blessed, I am favored, I am equipped for this battle, you are sowing seeds of victory. The scripture says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. That means what you say matters. You may feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed, but don't speak what you feel. Speak what you believe. Say, I am more than a conqueror. I am a child of the Most High God. I am surrounded by favor. Too often we let our words work against us. We wake up in the morning and say, I'm so tired, I don't feel like going to work, nothing good ever happens for me. And then we wonder why we don't have energy, why doors don't open, why we feel stuck. But what if instead you started your day declaring, this is going to be a great day. I have the strength that I need. I am anointed. I am blessed. Something good is coming my way. There's a story in the Bible about the Israelites. God had promised them a land flowing with milk and honey, a place of abundance, a place of favor. But when they got close, they sent spies to check it out. 10 of them came back saying, the land is great, but we'll never defeat the giants. We're like grasshoppers in their sight. They spoke defeat, and because of their words, they never entered the promised land. But 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, had a different report. They said, yes, the giants are big, but our God is bigger. Yes, the walls are high, but we are well able to take the land. They spoke victory when everyone else spoke defeat. And because of that, they were the only ones from their generation who stepped into the promise. What's the lesson? What you speak determines what you experience. If you talk yourself out of your dreams, you'll never see them come to pass. If you keep saying, oh, I'll never break free, I'll never get well, I'll never find happiness, you are setting the limits on your own life. But today I challenge you, start speaking victory. When you're facing a challenge, don't magnify the problem, magnify your God. Instead of saying, I don't know how I'm going to make it, say, God, I thank you that you are making a way for me. Instead of saying, I'm so lonely, declare, God, you have the right people coming into my life. Instead of saying, I'll never get out of this debt, declare, I am blessed, I am a lender, not a borrower. God is opening doors of increase for me. When you start speaking the right words, things begin to shift. The favor of God is released. Doors start opening. Strength starts rising. You may not see it immediately, but if you keep declaring victory, you'll walk into the breakthrough that God has already prepared for you. So today, make a decision. No more negative words. No more speaking defeat. No more limiting yourself with doubt. Instead, start declaring what God says about you. You are victorious. You are strong. You are destined for greatness. You are blessed. Speak victory and watch as your life begins to rise to a whole new level. Keep pressed forward. Your breakthrough is coming. Christian life will always have challenges. There will always be obstacles trying to slow you down, distractions trying to pull you off course, and delays making you question if your dream will ever come to pass. But let me encourage you today, keep pressing forward. Your breakthrough is coming. Too many people give up right before they reach their victory. They go through a difficult season, face opposition, or don't see things happening as quickly as they hoped, and they start thinking, maybe this isn't meant to be. Maybe I'll never see the promise fulfilled. But what if you're closer than you think? What if that breakthrough is just around the corner? The enemy's goal is to wear you down, to make you so tired and discouraged that you settle where you are. But the scripture says, do not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. That means if you keep pushing forward, if you keep believing, if you refuse to quit, there is a harvest with your name on it. Think about the story of the woman with the issue of blood. She had been sick for 12 long years, tried everything, spent all she had, and still wasn't getting better. She had every reason to give up, to settle, to say, this is just my life. But she refused to quit. She heard that Jesus was coming to town, and even though the crowd was thick, even though she was weak, she said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be healed. She pressed through the crowd, pushed past the opposition, refused to let anything stop her, and when she touched Jesus, in that instant, she was healed. If she had given up, she would have missed her miracle. If she had let the obstacles stop her, she would have stayed in the same condition. But because she kept pressing forward, she received her breakthrough. Maybe you're in a season where you feel like you've been believing, you've been praying, you've been doing everything right, but nothing is changing. You feel like quitting, like settling, like accepting the way things are. But let me tell you, your breakthrough is closer than you think. God sees every tear you've cried. He sees every time you've gotten back up when life knocked you down. He sees your faithfulness when no one else does. And He promises that if you don't give up, you will reap a harvest. The enemy would love for you to quit because he knows what's coming. He knows that promotion is around the corner. He knows that healing is on the way. He knows that breakthrough is about to happen. That's why the resistance has been so strong. But the fact that you're facing opposition is actually a sign that you're on the verge of something great. When you feel like quitting, press on. When you feel discouraged, press on. When it seems like nothing is happening, press on. Because God is faithful. He is a God of sudden turnarounds. You may go to bed one way and wake up the next morning with everything changed in your favor. That's the power of God. So don't stop believing. Don't stop praying. Don't stop moving forward. You are closer than you think, and your breakthrough is coming. You stay hard. You'll already have everything you need to win. So many times we look at our dreams, our challenges, or the obstacles in front of us and think, I don't have what it takes. I'm not talented enough. I don't have the right connections. I don't have enough resources. But let me remind you today, God has already equipped you with everything you need to win. You don't have to wait for the right opportunity. You don't have to have more talent, more money, or more support. Everything you need is already inside you. God wouldn't have given you the dream if He hadn't also given you the ability to accomplish it. Think about David in the Bible. When he went out to face Goliath, he didn't have a sword, he didn't have armor, he didn't have an army backing him up. All he had was a slingshot and 5 smooth stones. In the natural, it didn't look like enough. The giant was bigger, stronger, and more experienced. But what David had was exactly what he needed, because when you put what you have in God's hands, He will take the little and turn it into more than enough. David didn't say, if only I had a sword like the other soldiers, then I could fight. He didn't look at what he lacked. He looked at what he had. And with just a slingshot, he took down a giant that everyone else was afraid of. What's the lesson? You don't need what you think you're missing to fulfill your destiny. You don't need to wait for the perfect circumstances. You don't need to have everything figured out. God has already placed inside you the strength, the talent, the favor, and the ideas you need to step into your victory. Too often we make excuses. If only I had more resources, then I could start my business. If only I had the right connections, then I could step into my purpose. If only I had more confidence, then I could pursue my dreams. But can I tell you, you already have what it takes. You have the creativity, the wisdom, the strength, the favor. You are not lacking, you are not behind, and you are not inadequate. The enemy would love for you to believe that you're missing something, because if he can convince you of that, you'll never step out in faith. Look at Moses. When God told him to go to Pharaoh and demand that the Israelites be set free, Moses said, God, I can't do that. I don't speak well. I'm not a leader. But God asked him one simple question, Moses, what's in your hand? All Moses had was a staff, just an ordinary stick. But when he placed it in God's hands, that staff parted the Red Sea, performed miracles, and led an entire nation to freedom. What's in your hand today? Maybe it's a small skill, an idea, a little bit of faith. It may not seem like much, but when you put it in God's hands, He will use it to do something greater than you ever imagined. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. You don't have to wait until you have everything lined up perfectly. You already have what you need. God has given you the gifts, the talents, and the favor for this moment. So step out in faith. Stop focusing on what you lack and start using what you have. Because when you trust God, He will take your little and turn it into more than enough. You are fully equipped, you are fully empowered, and nothing can stop you. Encouragement to keep going, no matter what challenges come your way. You have the strength, the faith, and the resilience to overcome them. Keep pushing forward, because your best days are still ahead. Reminder of God's power. What may seem impossible to you is not impossible for God. He is working behind the scenes, aligning the right opportunities, opening the right doors, and preparing the right breakthroughs. The power of faith and words. Speak life, speak victory, and speak faith over your future. What you declare today will shape the reality you walk into tomorrow. Encouragement to stay in faith. Delays are not denials. Setbacks are just setups for comebacks. Keep trusting, keep believing, and keep expecting good things to come your way. A final blessing, you are strong, you are favored, you are victorious. Walk with confidence, knowing that nothing can stop you from fulfilling your destiny.